Our final speaker is Paula Peters, who is a member of DPAC and has been a disability and NHS campaigner in South London for the past 30 years. So I'd like to introduce Paula to come and speak for our final session.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank the SWAN organisers for having me speak to you all today. And what about DPAC and Uncut taking Ian Duncan Smith's driveway this afternoon? When I was asked to come, I was asked a couple of weeks ago, I had two choices. Go and bother Ian Duncan Smith, or come and speak to all of you. And I said, oh, that's a tough one. But those guys do a great job, and I was part of the planning for that. So I hope Ian Duncan Smith's piece got really wrecked, and I hope his weekend got really wrecked as well. So great for those guys. Now, I've been a disability campaigner in South London for 30 years now, and boy, have we seen some changes during the last 30 years. In 2010, we have seen the most callous, inhumane, unjust government this country has had. And they've swung the welfare acts and the welfare budget, most especially on disability benefits. And here we are in 2013, and disabled people are really suffering. And make no mistake about this, disabled people are dying in their thousands with these cuts. They're going cold, they're going hungry. And my thoughts are with everybody who has lost a friend and a relative who's suffering with disabilities today, because people are. We have seen cuts in social care funding in local authorities slashed by 25%. And in my local area in Bromley, you will only get care now if you've got urgent critical care needs. And I've seen a lot of people in my area lose their care packages and are struggling to get by every day. We have seen the constant reassessing with people with disabilities under the most inhumane work capability assessments we've ever seen. 9 out of 10 welfare rights advisors have said that the claimant's health has deteriorated even further with the constant reassessing. And people have developed mental health problems with the constant reassessing who never had a mental health problem before. I've lost many friends with these assessments, some very recently. I was at a meeting recently where a poor man, a good friend of mine, rather than be put through ATOS again, and it would be his 4th time in 2 years, took his own life in his bedroom rather than face ATOS again. And being on part of social media like I am, that is all too common and occurrence and very, very tragic. And the media don't often report that. 660,000 people across the UK are affected by the draconian Bedrooms Act. 2/3 are disabled. And in my area in Bromley, there are 1,900 people affected. And we are the trial area on Monday for the benefits cap. And I've heard of one family in Bromley who stand to lose £300 a week housing benefit because the rents are very high, and they're going to be faced being moved out of London. And they've got children in middle years of secondary school who've had their education disrupted. On the 7th of March, I faced Boris Johnson in person. And I love bothering Boris, who doesn't? And I follow him around London and ask the questions he really doesn't like hearing. And now DPAC, after what I did in Catford, and I said to him, you were against social and ethnic cleansing of people in London in your 2008 manifesto. You said you'll fight it. I said, well, where are you fighting it now? I said, you're for bankers' bonuses being capped. You're not for the 99% of Londoners who are suffering these horrific measures. I turned around and said to him, get off your ass, help fight us these measures and help get this thing stopped. And I said, show you're for the people of London and not for the rich. And he looked really embarrassed and he stood up. We were nose to nose in the thing. And 350 people got behind me and said, go on a protest, Boris, go on a protest. And now Deepak have got behind me, and they're going to follow him around London as well. Now, disabled people have two choices: moving far from friends and family and healthcare professionals, and their care package is not transferable to other authorities, or stay where they are and go without food and heating and pay this measure. And I know many people right now who are using their DLA in the last couple of weeks to pay the bedroom tax, which is happening. Personal independence payment. It started in the pilot areas this week. You know, the government are looking to take 607,000 disabled people off of the benefit, and 100,000 stand to lose their mobility cards. 8 out of 10 current DLA recipients fear the real possibility of social exclusion and being isolated in their homes. And this includes people who are in work and getting DLA as well. So that's important to stress this. Under universal credit, and this is typical of the DWP, goes to show they don't know their arse from their elbow. Their computer system for universal credit has been postponed. But unfortunately, under universal credit, 450,000 disabled payments will be the worst off because of the abolition of the severe disabled premium up to £28 to £60 a week when this gets going. And 100,000 disabled children will be plunged into poverty. And under the benefits cap and universal credit, permitted work which disabled people use to ease their way back into working has been scrapped. Disability hate crime has risen by 40%. You see the stories in the media. You know, I've been called a scrounger, a mong, a layabout, a nothing, a shit. Get a job, you bum, why should we keep you? Well, I've got news to the people who called me that. I am a human being and you're not going to stop me from speaking out. Now, I've been spat out on a bus when I take my tri-relator, which is standing over there, and been kicked and pushed over on a London station after a DPAC demonstration. The fear of waiting to be reassessed for the work capability assessment in 2011 put me in hospital. I tried to kill myself that year because the fear, the stress, the worry of never knowing when I was going to be assessed put me in there. And you've seen Atos. They themselves call themselves toxic. They hate us DPACers because we just like harassing them as well. And here they are, having won 4 out of the 5 areas for personal independent payment, and the government wants to reduce DLA by PIP payments by 20%, save £2 billion off of the budget. And you know what? You can see how it's going to work, and the appeals process is going to go into meltdown, and so are people who are going to be suffering. In Bromley, there is huge apathy and compliancy. People think, what is the point of campaigning? Nothing changes, the decision's already been made. They hate politics, which they think campaigning is, which it isn't. I've had a hate crime campaign led against me for speaking out in my area. And I've been threatened by the council and commissioners for the loss of funding for our service user project if the campaigning and speaking out on the cuts and issues continues. Well, I've got a notice to serve to Bromley Council. You shut one more door on me, I'll kick another one open and you'll still hear me. Just recently, I think, DPAC probably thought, God, what on earth are you going to be doing down there? I set up the Bromley Park to Bromley Croydon DPAC, and I'm going to be holding a bedroom tax event on the 13th of May in my area. And I'm also part of the benefit the Campaign for Benefit Justice. I sit on their steering group, and they're going to be holding their second summit on the 11th of May in London, and it's to unite all the campaigns and everyone together in the resistance and the fight back. So if you can get along to that event, it would be really appreciated. I set up a welfare support group in my area. CAB funding has been slashed and slashed again. And we have one welfare rights advisor in Bromley who had a breakdown 2 weeks ago because of all the constant stress he's been put under. I've read all the information I could on the benefit changes so that I could empower others, pass that information on to other people. Last year on my own, I helped 650 people get through the work capability assessment, and most of my stuff is done online. People often wonder, where do I sleep? I'm often wondering that myself at times. I believe in supporting others, inspiring and empowering others to fight for their rights and their services. DPAC says we demand rights, not charity. We believe in equality and full human rights. This government about divide and rule, turning diverse groups on each other and complete inequality. The words scroungers, fraudsters, work shy are wrong and spread hate crime and division. We are human beings who want to be equal in society, but services and systems are not geared to equality, especially for disabled people. I won't, and I don't give up. For me, it's about reaching out to the diverse groups, breaking the myths with facts, the lies with truths, and networking and sharing information, and working with people and standing together to get things we want to see changed, not these kind of policies the government have in. The one issue that is going to cross the divide is the NHS, and we're in South London, our trust is in administration right now, and you've seen with the Lewisham campaign how that's come out in the public consciousness. The young, the students, the elderly, those with impairments, all out on the street for the one thing, and that is our NHS. I led the march at Lewisham in November 2012, and the 15,000 of us stood around that hospital with a clear message of arms linked. Hands off our hospital, hands off our services, hands off our NHS. We all need it, we all use it. And it was one of those rare occasions in that cold and in the wet where whatever our political beliefs, faiths or our groups, we all stood together for the one thing, and that was our NHS. I'll end this with this. Within diverse groups there is strength. Within darkness there is hope. Hope where we reach across the divides and work together for a common purpose to save our services and our communities. Not just for us, for our children and for the future generations to come after us. We all have something we care about and will fight for. And despite the hate crime and the attacks, I say this to you here today. Be the voice people will hear and listen to. Be the inspiration that people will follow. And be the brave human being who will make a stand, because other people will follow you, as you've seen with DPAC. And then anyone can become sick, anyone can become ill. We are you and you are us. To this government I give a clear message. From DPAC, we will resist and fight you in our homes, on social media, in our villages, in our towns and throughout our cities. You may think you will kill us, but we are not going to stop. We are not going to stop until we get you out. Thank you very much for having me.